basics that we were taught.
Yeah.
Do you know what Irving Berlin's first
So
it
one of
was?
the things
Was
I
it White
wanted to
Christmas?
do-
Oh no.
He did write
He
that.
wrote that 30 years after.
Oh, so what was his first hit?
Alexander's Ragtime Band.
Oh, really? Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
you can defend it well?
Yeah.
Another piece of useless. Another factoid.
I like it.
Power committees put
Stephen,
together.
Come on in here.
Search
Come on in
committees
here.
put together.
Alexander.
So many people recorded that. Even Ray Charles recorded that song.
Good
song.
Yeah, it's a good song.
In the land.
Oh, that's a catchy
I
tune.
think the curmudgeon was the guy outside the
Remember
community.
Alexander's Ragtime Band? But it was Irving Berlin's
First
first
committee,
hit.
there's always someone, and you make sure that you pick a disagreement.
So with the
Yeah.
iPad,
It's something that they say, and then you have to say.
does it actually also, or I'm wondering if there's a way that these apps can sense what you're playing and then automatically.
It's one of the tricks.
Hello.
They're not there yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if they don't get there at some point.
Yeah, because that would.
These, what I'm actually looking at, and it's a little confusing because this is one self-contained PDF. And so Arlene has some different songs that aren't in this. And even Arlene has some songs that aren't in, so I have to
Oh, you
get
have
to
to
something
read
else.
Yeah. On the committees.
We've been looking at Mikey's.
What's great about this is like, you know, let's see, where's our service?
He's got a triangle now.
This is the service, and so I just have to go like this, you know.
Okay.
They're all
We
in
had
here.
candidates then.
Really nice.
But like this
Look at all
song,
his
reading
paraphernalia.
is different.
Different voice.
Which is like,
We'll find out.
it's in my photos, I have to get out of this there. But yeah.
Is that the one that they?
B minor.
Here's the thing about, I think, me and some of the carpets here.
And then, yeah, there's some other songs that aren't in here.
You know,
And the fact
I'd like to know
that
what
carpet
you
came
know.
out,
you came back to
this one,
Yeah.
that was like,
Oh, so
now I know this stuff.
Right, and
White something. When they were writing plays.
in their other
It
places.
didn't work. They all had.
And of course, online now.
Trump. For the songs and then when they were redoing it.
And I'm sorry, what she's.
Didn't fit. Put in there and let it go on.
So, and he lives in San Antonio.
From Honduras.
So where do you
Texas, he knows
Smile. It's real.
Does he,
I have
does
to
he play out? He's
When
got,
you live there longer, was it just born and then you moved?
See, another piece of work was.
I think that it's interesting.
Oh, okay.
That's the key right there.
Oh, okay.
Isn't there a feast of signs of being?
Try for this, oh, I'm sorry.
I am.
Have I been doing something?
Hi.
well,
I meant
I'd
to call
love
you
to,
if there was something
I'd love to hear him
we
play
needed.
the album even more. I'd love to
Okay.
play.
Is there anything different that you would
Does
like
he
to
ever
do? But I mean, like, sometimes they do, or sometimes they don't.
But there was, someone there's a,
I didn't say Spanish, I said Sephardic.
This one is,
The rabbi may know, I think it's around
No,
Lockwood.
I know he just said that out my family.
There's several different. waiting 4 hours.
Okay. Well, and then, well, I guess you'll announce if this is going along or, should we sing the,
We're gonna have
Got to.
no Neil's already this time?
I heard something with Joe and
Yeah, I won't do that one.
I guess another show. If we don't eat out,
Sitting there.
Sure, let's do it.
I can't hear you bitching. We're already burning. We're walking somewhere.
4 hours before the
What kind of tune are we singing for Asha?
He was talking today. Bob was a real estate.
Probably will be for life.
That's right.
Yeah, we'll see, I mean, we'll see Mexico, but it's because her family was in Eastern Europe, and now we're immigrating to the United States, and most are all full. And so like, either Cuba or Mexico.
Well, I'm sure you know my husband.
Do you want us to do, the
Right, yeah, that's true, yes.
Yay! I don't like homework.
We begin on page 5 with Shalom Aleichem. It's me, unfortunately. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharei, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Lochem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bachuni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Zeitchem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Both of our cantorial soloists are away tonight, and so I have been drafted to be the cantorial soloist for 2 reasons. 1, I'm here, and 2, so that you will miss the cantorial soloist. And when either one comes next week, it is important for you to do one of 2 things. To either say to them that this service was the best service you've ever been at, or this was the worst service you've ever been at.
Next week, the visiting rabbi was.
I take that back. In 2 weeks, with the cantorial soloist. We invite everyone up who would like to participate in the lighting of the candles. Page 4. La asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner v'tzivanu lehadlik ner v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Page 11. Lechu neranina, lechu neranina, lechu neranina, l'Adonai. Lechu neranina, lechu neranina, lechu neranina, l'Adonai. Naria, naria, letzur yishenu, nekadma fanav b'todah. Naria, naria, letzur yishenu, bizmirot naria lo. Lechu neranina, lechu neranina, lechu neranina, l'Adonai. Lechu neranina, lechu neranina, lechu neranina, l'Adonai. Lechu neranina, lechu neranina, l'Adonai. Lechu neranina, lechu neranina, lechu neranina, l'Adonai. Page 18. Zamru l'Adonai b'chinor, b'chinor v'kol zimra, b'chatzotrot v'kol shofar. Haril lifnei hamelech Adonai. Zamru l'Adonai b'chinor, b'chinor v'kol zimra, v'chatzotrot v'kol shofar. Haril lifnei hamelech Adonai. Yiram hayam u'melo'o, tevel v'yoshveva. Neharot yimcha uchav, yachad harim yiranenu. Yiram hayam u'melo'o, tevel v'yoshveva. Neharot yimcha uchav, yachad harim yiranenu. Lifnei Adonai kiva, kiva lishpot haaretz, yishpot tevel b'tzedek, ve'amim b'meisharim. Umelo'o, tevel v'yoshveva. Neharot yimcha uchav, yachad harim yiranenu. Page 20. Romimu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lehar kadsho. Romimu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lehar kadsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romimu. Ki kadosh Adonai Please rise, page 21. Mizmor leDavid, havu l'Adonai bnei lim, havu l'Adonai, kavod va'oz, havu l'Adonai, kevod shemo yishtachavu l'Adon, v'hadrat kodesh, kol Adonai, al hamayim, el hakavod hirim, Adonai, al mayim rabim, kol Adonai, bakoach, kol Adonai behadar, kol Adonai shover arazim, vayshaver Adonai et arzei havanon, vayarkidem kemo egel Levanon, v'Siryon kemo v'Re'emim, kol Adonai chotzev lahavotesh, kol Adonai yachil midbar, yachil Adonai midbar kadesh, kol Adonai yechol el ayalot, ayecheso ye'arot, u'hechalo, kulo omer kavod. Adonai, lama bu yashav vayeshev, Adonai melech leolam, Adonai oz le'amo yiten, Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Please be seated. L'chadodi, first two and last two verses, page 23. L'chadodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nikabela. L'chadodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nikabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, ishmi'anu el hamyuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad, l'shem u'tiferet v'lithilah. L'chadodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nikabela. L'chadodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nikabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki hi mekar haberacha. Merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'asem b'machshava techila. Likrat Kala Penei Shabbat Nikabela Yamin Usmol Tifrotzi V'et Adonai Ta'aritzi Al Yad Ish Ben Partzi V'nismecha V'nagila Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala Penei Shabbat Nikabela Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala Penei Shabbat Nikabela Boi v'shalom Ateret Bala Gam besimcha Zahala Tochem unei Am segula Boi chala Boi chala Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala Penei Shabbat Nikabela, okay? Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala Penei Shabbat Nikabela. Page 27. Mizmor Shir Leyom HaShabbat Tov lehodot la'Adonai Ulzamer l'shimcha elyon Ulezamer l'shimcha elyon Mizmor Shir Leyom HaShabbat Tov lehodot la'Adonai Ulzamer l'shimcha elyon Ulezamer l'shimcha elyon Lehagid baboker chastecha Ve'emunatcha balelot Alei asar va'alei navel Alei higayon bechinor Mizmor Shir Leyom HaShabbat Tov lehodot la'Adonai Ulzamer l'shimcha elyon Ulezamer l'shimcha elyon Mizmor Shir Leyom HaShabbat Tov lehodot la'Adonai Ulzamer l'shimcha elyon Ulezamer l'shimcha elyon Ki simchtani Adonai b'pa'alecha b'ma'asei yadecha aranein Magadlu ma'asecha Adonai me'od amku machshevotecha Mizmor Shir Leyom HaShabbat Tov lehodot la'Adonai Ulezamer l'shimcha elyon Ulezamer l'shimcha elyon Shimcha elyon Ulezamer l'shimcha elyon Page 28. Zadikata Amar Yifrach Te'erez Balvado Ki Yashar Adonai Tzuri Velo Avlatavo. Will all those who wish please recite Mourner's Kaddish with me on page 30. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah b'olma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam le'omei olmaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh V'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, shemei dekudsha b'richu, le'ela, kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran b'olma v'imru, Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. In our continuing program to communicate to you, the congregation, the yortzites of important people within our tradition, we are continuing that series today. This is, of course, the first part of the series. We've never done this before, but it's a very auspicious yortzeit today, and even the more so because the person we are going to be recognizing is not Jewish. And yet, still, he has probably had a greater effect on the Judaism of the last 700 years, or 600 years, depending, than any other person alive. I'm positive you all know that, of course, I am referring to Johannes Gutenberg, who died this day. What? You don't know who Johannes Gutenberg was? His friends called him Johann.
Or Joey.
That was for his family. Johannes Gutenberg died this day in around the 1450s, 1460s, and the printing press was invented around the year 1440 in Germany. And we're going to come back to where it was invented because that is extremely important. It goes without saying that we take it for granted, but before the printing press was created, there were no books. Or the books that there were so expensive because the way in which books were printed in those days before the printing press, and because he didn't invent the printing press, he invented the fast printing press, is that they could print one page at a time, and perhaps, according to everything I've ever read, they could do perhaps when they would press down onto the paper, they had to do one piece of paper at a time. They could do perhaps 250 to 300 pages a day. With the printing press that he created, they could do 300 books a day. Because that said, before that, as I said, there were no books. There were manuscripts. And the books that there were very expensive. So that, to give you an example of how the printing press affected Jewish life, in services, there was rarely more than one book. There might be several scrolls, but there was one book. And that book was given to the person who was leading, which meant that services were not only a lot longer, but that people didn't have to be literate to be in the services. Because the way services were run is the person in the middle who had the book would read the line out loud, and everyone would repeat it. You can see what a Yom Kippur service was like. Okay? But more importantly, it meant that the liturgy was not available to the common person. And even more importantly, that the traditional writings, the holy books, were not available to the individual person. There were manuscripts. Now, I don't know when you went, I know that no one ever was punished by their teacher in having to write, "I will be a good student in school" 200 times on the blackboard, although I see some faces which are suggesting that maybe that was the case. But handwritten manuscripts do not tend to be correct. It's rare, and I don't think people understand how rare it is to have a document like a Sefer Torah, which is written on scrolls, where the scrolls that are behind me right now, and that they are copied meticulously so that there are no mistakes in them. That is unique, because every other manuscript we have in our tradition has mistakes. And the most common mistake was, to give you an example, the Talmud, the code of Jewish law that we consider to be the foundation of our tradition, would be written by hand. And of course, if the scribe's hand was not really legible, then it became a problem. But sometimes a scribe would make a mistake. They would cut out a line, or they would cut out 2 lines, or they would miss a word. So if you're writing a manuscript, and they didn't invent whiteout, by the way, for a long time. If you're writing a manuscript, how do you correct a mistake? When you need to add words in a line that you cut out, what do you do? But where do you write it? In the margins. So you write teeny tiny, but you write it on the side, because there's no room any other place. Now, in addition, let's say you come to you're a scribe, and by the way, does anyone know any scribes? They're a very arrogant lot, because they think they know things, when all they are doing is copyists. You remember who's talking? A rabbi. Okay? They think the same of us as we do of them. But that said, the scribe is coming, and he comes to a part, and he knows that it's a tough part, and he knows how to interpret it. So he wants to make the text easier. So he puts the interpretation in the margin. Okay? And then the scribe sells the manuscript, and 100 years later, I'm looking at the manuscript, and I see these notations on the side, and I don't know if they're corrections of something in the text or if they're an interpretation. So what do?
You look at another manuscript and see.
And it's different, because the interpretations are not there, and they didn't make the same mistakes. Does anyone know why the Talmud is usually called the Sansino Talmud?
It's called what?
The Sansino Talmud.
Created by Sansino Press.
Because that was the press that first put the Talmud. And when they printed the Talmud, they had all these manuscripts. And we still have many of these manuscripts, so we can compare the printed text to the manuscripts. So we had the manuscripts, they had the manuscripts, and they were all different. Now, what do you do when you have 10 different manuscripts that have a text that is completely different? You just put everything in. And if you want to know why the Talmud is so hard to understand, it's because it's all in there. Because sometimes the scribes were wrong in their interpretations. Sometimes they weren't part of the text. So every single variation was included in the printed text. And then once, the wonderful thing about having a printing press was that books were then, it was democratic. People had to learn to read, they could learn to read, and once people began reading, by the way, one of the major sources, one of the major reasons that the Reformation succeeded is because of the printed word. Because Luther could disseminate his treatises to the common person, and they were learning how to read. In Judaism, it was the same thing. All of a sudden, people could read the Talmud, but they couldn't understand a large part of it because the Talmud was a compilation of everything. And this happened in every single book and commentary in our tradition, except the Torah, except those 5 books, with no variations. So the positive part was that it basically democratized the religion. It made the religion accessible to absolutely everyone. It made the liturgy accessible to absolutely everyone. The negative was it also codified all of the mistakes that had been going on, which we are still living with today. Which is why, if you have followed the history of the latest translations of the Talmud and other sacred texts, there's a lot of controversy about them because when you look at the Talmud in a more scientific fashion, you begin to winnow out all of the edited remarks. And of course, after 600 years, no one wants to take anything out. If we don't take anything out of our services, if you want proof of that, come to a Yom Kippur service. We put a lot of stuff in, we don't take very much out. Yeah.
When did they add the Rashi explanations?
Well, the Rashi explanations have been around for several hundred years before that.
Because they were printed?
But they were printed along with the rest of the Talmud. And in fact, there was a lot of competition, because if you've ever seen a page of Talmud, there are 5 or 6 interpretations that are put on the printed page, but there are at least 20 interpretations that are included in the back of the book that no one ever reads. Okay, so it was a true problem as to what was going to be included on the printed page versus what was going to be included in the back of the book. And if you really believe that people were reading the stuff at the back of the book, then you should take a look at our Eitz Chaim and look at the which is the conservative interpretation of the Bible that we use, and see how many articles are in the back of the book that you did not know were there, because there are quite a few. Johannes Gutenberg is really the person who created the possibility for modern Judaism. And so it is his Yortzeit today. We do recognize that. We don't have to say Kaddish for him, though. Okay? We continue on page 39a with the Baruch Hu. Please rise. Page 40. Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Amcha Ahavta Torah u'mitzvot chukim u'mishpatim otanu limadeta Al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shachbeinu u'vkumeinu nasiach bechukecha v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha u'v'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed Kihem chayenu li'orech yameinu u'vahem negei yomam v'layla Kihem chayenu li'orech yameinu u'vahem negei yomam v'layla ve'avatecha al tasir mimenu leolamim. Baruch ata Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha v'hayu hadevarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha v'beitecha uvlechtecha v'derech uv'shachbecha uv'kumecha uv'kshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha uchetavtam al mezuzot beitecha uv'she'arech. Page 44. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh nora, nora, nora tehilot, osei feleh. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh nora, nora, nora tehilot, osei feleh. Malchutecha ra'uvanecha, okei hayam lifnei Moshe, Ze'eli, Ze'eli, anu v'yamerucha, ra'uvanecha, okei hayam lifnei Moshe, Ze'eli, Ze'eli, anu v'yameru. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh nora, nora, nora tehilot, osei feleh. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, kamocha nedar b'kodesh nora, nora, nora tehilot, osei feleh. Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh nora, nora, nora tehilot, osei feleh. Osei feleh. Page 45, we read in English. Allow us, Adonai our God, to sleep peacefully. Awaken us to life, O Sovereign. Spread over us your canopy of peace. Restore us with your good counsel, and save us for the sake of your name. Shield us, remove from us enemies, pestilence, sword, starvation, and sorrow. Remove the evil forces that surround us. Shelter us, for you, God, watch over and deliver us. And you, God, are sovereign, merciful, and compassionate. Ensure our going and coming for life and peace, now and forevermore. Your canopy of peace, Baruch Atah Adonai, who spreads the canopy of peace over us, over all the people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Ashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Ashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Seitenu Uvoenu L'chaim u'shalom ve'ata ve'ad Kivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Please rise, page 46. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael, ot hi le'olam, ot hi le'olam, ot hi le'olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai, asa Adonai et ha-shamayim et ha'aretz. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi'i shavat vayinafash, shavat vayinafash, shavat vayinafash. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, B'yolma divrach hirutei v'yanlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei decho beit Yisrael. Ba'agala, ba'agala, uv'izman kariv, v'himeru, amen. Yeshu Shmei Rabba Mivorach Leolam Leomei Omaya Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar V'yitromam V'yitnaseh V'yithadar V'yitaleh V'yitalal Shmei Dekudesha Rechu Li'ela Min Kol Birchata V'shirata Tushbechata V'nechemata Da'amiran Bi'oma V'imeru. The silent Amidah begins on page 47 and continues through page 51. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tov be'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael bechol eit ubechol sha'a bishlomecha. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim The Mishaberach, the prayer for healing, is on page 173. As we sing the song, I'll ask you to bend your hearts and your minds to focus on those people you know who are in need of healing, spiritual, physical, or emotional. Mikor habracha le'imotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu mikor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, a renewal of body, a renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Please rise, page 54. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbai, Be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, B'chayechon uvyomechon, V'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, B'gala v'zman kariv v'imeru, Amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mivorach, Le'olam le'omei omaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnasei v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudesha brichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran v'yoma v'imeru. Amen. Titkabel tzloton uvuton dechol Yisrael Kadam avuhon divishmaya v'imeru. Amen. Yehei shlomo rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imeru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mroav hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imeru. Amen. Just want you to know that that page was harder than writing a Kol Nidre sermon. You did a great job following me, because I tried my best to mess you up. The Aleinu is on page 56.
V'gora
Unless I have a step ladder. Haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo I'm going to keep my day job. It's okay. This week, we remember the Yortzites of Nathan Alterman, Erwin Barath, Melvin Karsman, Lisa Friedman, Bart Arden Goldberg, Chana Goldberg, Charles Goldberg, Simon Haar, Rebecca Kelney, Paula Kimmelman, Aaron Klemnis, Yosef Korostevetsky, Charles Buddy Kulik, Mary Levitt, Ruben Lubel, Barney Polonsky, Leon Sachnowitz, Hugo Charlak, Dora Schilling, Golda Steinberg, Philip Stern, Carl Weil, and Leah Weingart. And we mourn with the families in Shloshim over the passing of Joseph Laycock, Carl Hapes, Michael Lehman, and Morris Murray Toback. Will all those who wish please recite Mourner's Kaddish with me on page 58. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah v'olma divrach yerutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael ba'gala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah v'varach le'olam l'omei olmaya yitfarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnafsei v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekutsha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran b'olma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav hu ya'aseh shalom Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. As is our custom for the past several weeks, we'll have announcements followed by Kiddush and Motzi. Okay, now I know what it is. Tomorrow is Sisterhood Shabbat. We thank them for leading the service. It's not in here, by the way. Sponsoring tomorrow's Kiddush, which I understand will be very good. Rabbi Jonathan Hodson, can you understand me? Is visiting a rabbinical candidate next week. On Friday, next Friday, February 10th, he will lead a first family-friendly Kabbalat Shabbat. And he will also lead Shabbat morning services on February 11th at 9:15 a.m. It will probably end by 4 p.m. Come whenever you wish, and you'll see him a lot. Don't forget adult education with me on Wednesday mornings, Wednesday evenings, and Thursday evenings. It's not the same. They're all somewhat different, and we're on Zoom. And Rosh Chodesh Adar is the last announcement. And I'm not going to read the rest of it because I like Billy Joel, and I've seen him in concert, but I really don't like this song. I'm sorry?
In the announcements, there was a note about a dominating endurance person. I thought, well, no, so thank
Yigdal or Adon Olam? Yigdal or Adon Olam? Yigdal. Okay, we finish on Yigdal and then Kiddush on page 62. Yigdal Elohim Chai Ve'yishtabach Nimtza v'yeneit El Mitziuto Echad v'yen Yachid Ke'yichudo Ne'lam v'gam ein sof li'achduto Ein lo demut haguf v'eino guf Lo na'aroch elav kedushato Kadmon lechol davar Asher nivra Rishon v'ein reshit l'reshito Hino Adon Olam v'chol notzar Yoreg gedulato u'malchuto Shefa nevuato nitano Elan shesegulato v'tifarto Lo kam beYisrael kemo she'od Navi umabid et emunato Torah emet notan le'amoel Al yad neviyo ne'eman beito Lo yachalifa el ve'lo yamir dato Le'olamim le'zulato Tofeh ve'yodea sitarenu Mabid le'sof davar be'kadmato Gomer le'ish chesed kemifalo Noten le'rosh hara kerishmato Yishlach leketz yamin meshichenu Liftot mechake ketz yeshuato Mitim yechayel Please come up for Kiddush and Motzi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shavat kadsho v'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikra'ei kodesh zecher litziat mitzrayim kivanu v'charta v'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim shahat kodshecha v'ahava uvratzon hinchaltayim Baruch atah Adonai Nekadesh HaShabbat. And let's say Motzi together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Hamotzi Eloheinu Shabbat Shalom.
Right, that's.
What does that mean? I'm not sure.
That's right. Yeah, he's
Never had time. He was talking to
Mike, you need help? Oh, yeah. Did you drop?
I've heard of a wife beater, but I've never heard of a real one. What's I'm not talking about anything that looks like
It's like a little metal, other than
there it is. Right. I try to anchor this stuff down and it still tries to.
Yeah. Alright, I'm gonna run. Twice. I leave my phone on vibrate. You know, because like I would be the one person that would go to the phone's ringing. There's always someone that leaves the phone ringing on. It's just actually just turn it on. Yeah.
It was on, but it wasn't. I turned it all the way down.
So where's the Bruce Springsteen concert at? Is AT&T? Oh.
Sure, next Friday will be 13.
Yes.
Before Fridays, there were people standing. Same with the sanctuary.
I have a question.
That's pretty cool.
When people got killed in Israel, it's not something, I mean, in other synagogues, they mention something they have to mention it? Or when you remember the people who were
It
killed?
was actually. I think it's not right. So I am aware of this question.
I don't know, when
Twice during the
people
service.
got
Well, we're in the
about
middle of
it,
music, you know.
people were killed in Europe or in the States. That's some of those people who were murdered by terrorists.
I'm going to tell you.
See that?
All right, so let me.
But check with it. But you're saying it's not a must?
No, it's not.
It's not a religious strike. It's kind of nice.
Yeah.
Hopefully it doesn't happen every day.
We are set for
What's your preparation?
Yeah, and then you have a family coming in California, so that's why I can't come up by. Sure. Nice to see you. Okay.
Okay.
So
Don't forget your coat.
yes, my coat and my instrument.
How's Karen feeling?
Her voice is, she's gonna be here tomorrow and she'll do a brave October.
Okay.
But I'm gonna be okay.
Well, I figured you were doing okay anyway.
Well, at one point it was gonna be her and I. We were gonna do it together. She was gonna overdo it. But, not, and now she's just gonna, but she'll be okay. She doesn't have COVID, she's tested, and she just,
Great.
so that's good.
Well, she can always get it between now and tomorrow.
Keep going to the positive, it's just, that's true, but she won't because, you know, what they say. Okay. So.
Stephen, aren't you?
What was the final score?
The final score that I got was 44.
Cool. We did good.
Actually, you know, the average Friday night has been between, last Friday we actually had 60. But 25 to 40 is where we've been running. We've been getting bigger. And Saturday is averaged about 50 to 70 or 80, depending more on special
But you
times.
know, it's very interesting. A lot of people who come on a Friday night come back.
Are you looking to lock
You're
in
right.
our caution time?
When is it?
The debate?
When is it?
I think the date is to be announced, but it's going to be Purim, which is going to be in March.
Probably if I can get released from my wife, I will.
Oh, you will.
Well, my wife has surgery next Thursday, so it just depends
For
on
some
when.
reason I was asked to do the thing.
Yeah?
You've done it before.
Well, you can.
Yeah, but you were much better than me.
Awesome, awesome. Well, there you go. You got it.
He was much better than me.
Oh,
I was a younger man then.
you're going to start singing Billy